Max Holloway nicknamed Blessed, Charles Oliveira nicknamed Du Bronx, Conor McGregor nicknamed the Notorious. Arman Sarukian actually has two nicknames, Akalkalaki and Tough Guy. Dustin the Brilliant Poirier. John Bones Jones. Kamzatobors Chamiv, which translates from Chechen as wolf. Peter No Mercy Yan. Justin Gaethje, Khabib Nurmagomedov, Israel Adesanya, Jorge Masvidal, Islam Makhachev, Merab Dvalishvili, Anderson Silva, Kevin Randleman, Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira, Chuck Liddell, Ken Shamrock, and many others. What I've just listed for you, what you saw at the beginning, is just a small part of what you'll get to know if you want to get into mixed martial arts, or the UFC. But what exactly is the UFC? My personal 1993, Denver, Colorado. A small hall, a modest stage, and an idea that sounded almost like a prank. What if we pitted fighters from different disciplines against each other, a boxer against a wrestler, a karateka against a jiu-jitsu practitioner, and saw who would actually win? No weight classes, minimal rules. The tournament was called the Ultimate Fighting Championship, literally, the Ultimate Fighting Championship. And then something happened that turned the industry upside down. A slender Brazilian named Royce Gracie, a representative of the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school, defeated opponents time and time again who were 1.5 times his weight. He took them down to the ground and forced them to submit using chokeholds and joint locks. The world saw that size and strength aren't everything. What matters most is technique. And then something happened that turned the industry upside down. A slender Brazilian named Royce Gracie, a representative of the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school, defeated opponents time and time again who were 1.5 times his weight. He took them down to the ground and forced them to submit using chokeholds and joint locks. The world saw that size and strength aren't everything. What matters most is technique. Time out. Why did the UFC almost go out of business in the 2000s? Despite its reputation for no-holds-barred fighting, the defining feature of MMA as a sport is the blending of styles. A fighter must be able to strike with both hands and feet, wrestle on the ground, and defend against chokeholds. A pure boxer or a pure wrestler won't last long in today's UFC. You have to be proficient in everything at once. A brand is built on people, and the UFC had more than its fair share of them. Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor is the man who transformed the UFC from a sports spectacle into a global entertainment industry. An Irishman with boundless self-confidence who talked more than he fought, but when he did fight, he did so spectacularly. In 2015, he knocked out Jose Aldo in 13 seconds faster than most people can sit down in a chair. McGregor became the first fighter in UFC history to hold titles in two weight classes simultaneously. Jon Jones. Jon Jones is widely considered the greatest mixed martial arts fighter of all time. He possesses phenomenal physical gifts, an enormous reach that allowed him to strike from places his opponents simply couldn't reach. He became the youngest UFC heavyweight champion in history and held the title for many years, despite scandals outside the Octagon. Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey pioneered women's MMA in the UFC. Until 2012, women's fights simply didn't exist, and the organization Dana White had publicly stated that they never would. Rousey changed that. A string of lightning-fast wins via submission, covers of major magazines, superstar status, and women's divisions became a permanent part of the UFC. Time out. The fastest knockout in UFC history. Giorgio Petrosian? No, the record belongs to Jorge Masvidal, a knockout just 5 seconds into the fight. The fighter literally didn't even have time to raise his hands into a defensive position. Let's take a look at that moment.
Fight! Here it is in real time. My goodness.
So the fastest knockout in UFC history.
You know, he was out immediately. All this is Ben dropping down. Look at this. Ben drops down and goes into it as he's going for the legs. He anticipated it perfectly.
Oh,
I mean, that is straight out of Yoel Romero's book, right?
He's still really out, Joe.
Yeah, he's still out.
Yeah, it was spectacular and really beautiful. Okay, let's go over the rules. The arena is an octagonal cage, an octagon. It's not a ring with ropes, it's specifically a mesh cage so that fighters can't fall out during exchanges. Today, the UFC has 12 weight classes from flyweight to super heavyweight. This is important, it's no longer anyone against anyone, as it was in 1993. Now, fighters are matched fairly based on body weight. A fight lasts 3-5 minutes. There are several ways to win. A knockout occurs when an opponent loses consciousness or is unable to continue. A technical knockout occurs when the referee stops the fight after determining that one of the fighters is unable to defend themselves. Submission achieved through a chokehold or joint lock, when a fighter taps the mat or their opponent to signal "I give up," and if the fight goes the distance, the judges decide the winner by points. Time out. What's actually banned in the UFC? Despite its reputation as no-holds-barred fighting, the list of prohibited techniques is quite long. Groin strikes, poking the eyes with fingers, biting, striking with the back of the head, and striking a downed opponent in the head with an elbow from above, plus about 30 other items. These rules are known as the Unified MMA rules and are adopted in most US states and countries around the world. Today, the UFC is more than just tournaments. It's a global industry with dozens of events a year, contracts worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and an audience of hundreds of millions of viewers. The brand is a hot commodity. In 2016, the UFC was acquired by an investment group for $4 billion. Tournaments are held in the world's largest arenas, and the main fights attract more pay-per-view viewers than many boxing championships. Dana White, the man who, along with his partners,